So, Jupiter Ascending, which is an original story, although it sort of draws on Star Wars and Flash Gordon and The Matrix, is Mila Kunis is this down-at-heel Russian emigre who we are introduced to at the beginning, cleaning a toilet and thinking that actually her life doesn't have very much to offer her, until from outer space comes Channing Tatum, half man, half wolf, or hunk.
I like Channing Tatum.
And so do I. Everyone likes Channing Tatum. And he says that he rescues her because it turns out that, in fact, she is the natural genetic resurgence of an intergalactic royal chain. That means that suddenly she is one of the most potentially powerful people in the universe. And consequently, the rulers of the universe, the guardians of the galaxy, the sort of the space nobility are all very, very worried because her resurgence means that suddenly they're not going to end up owning Earth, which they think they do. Meanwhile, she is falling in love with Channing Tatum and his Wolfman charms. Here's a clip.
Stinger said that you attacked an entitled once.
Stinger talks too much.
Is it true?
Doesn't matter.
We all do things we can't explain.
I said it was in my genes. A defect of my genome engineering.
Could explain a lot of things about me. Like the fact that I have an uncanny ability to fall for men that don't fall for me. Maybe I have defective engineering too. And if that's the case, is there any way to fix it?
You are royalty now. I'm a splice. You don't understand what that means, but I have more in common with a dog than I have with you.
I love dogs. I've always loved dogs.
I have more in common with dogs
Than
I have with you.
I love dogs. I've always loved. And in fact, Lana Wachowski was asked about that line, and she said, "Well, you know, it's like Toto and the Wizard of Oz. You know, he's basically Channing Tatum as the Toto character." So, whisked off around the galaxy on glowing anti-gravity jet boots. And there's an awful lot of Mila Kunis falling out of things, and then Channing flying up underneath her with these anti-gravity jet boots and catching her. So that he's basically playing the Clark Kent to her Lois Lane. And then romping around the galaxy, going from one mad planet to another, each more overdressed than the last. I mean, whatever else is happening in the galaxy, everyone is waking up in the morning and spending at least 4 hours at the makeup table. These extravagantly coiffed hairstyles and, costumes all over the place. And meanwhile, they're all sort of vying for control of these various areas, at the centre of which is Earth, which they want to harvest. But they can't harvest it if Mila Kunis and the resident. And incidentally, you think things are going badly for Channing Tatum. He's been crossed with a wolf, right? Well, Sean Bean's been crossed with a bee. And consequently, when Mila Kunis turns up at Sean Bean's house, he knows that she's a queen because all the bees immediately... You see, you're giving me that look, which is you're making this up as you're going along. So you're sitting there...
I'm expecting you to say the words John Carter of Mars in a minute.
But here's the funny thing, OK? Somebody else tweeted that exact same thing and said, I can't wait to hear what Kermode thinks of this because it's going to be John Carter of Mars. And on some level, you think, well, I can see why you might make that comparison. Difference is, John Carter of Mars, boring as anything. I mean, really staggeringly boring and actually quite dull to watch. Jupiter Ascending is a lot of things. Bonkers, all over the place, incoherent, preposterous, ridiculous dialogue that George Lucas would have thrown in the bin. Spectacularly overwrought performances, not least from Eddie Redmayne, who is basically playing Emperor Ming, who is the King Evil, and his entire performance is done like this.
What, Kenneth Williams?
I mean, virtually, so head sort of slightly back and lips not really moving. And
there goes the Oscar, Eddie.
So when he gets up to receive the Oscar for Stephen Hawking, everyone's going to go, yeah, fine, we saw your Emperor Ming.
That sounds rude.
It is just, it is the most ridiculous high camp villain performance imaginable. And then halfway through the film, when you're thinking, is it me? Is it the cough medicine? Or is this just bonkers? it suddenly turns into Brazil in space. I mean, they go to these things, which is like information retrieval. They have to go to a planet in which they have to get the stamp that says that she's the princess that is of Thringy Bong of Frothy Fraw, so that she can get the seal of the big Throngy Fang. And then they go to one place, says, no, you've got to get a section D748 / thing. And then you've got to get that first. And you go, this is Brazil, right? And then they go to all these offices, and the final office, there's Terry Gilliam. Actually, cameo the real Terry Gilliam.
It is actually him.
Really is, yeah. Although he's dressed as a sort of, he looks like he's dressed like he's walked off the set of The Hobbit.
So it actually is. So they actually are saying.
They actually are.
They're nodding at Brazil.
Yes, I mean it's literally like the whole film just went next door because the screen next door was showing Brazil, so it just went over there for a bit, and then it comes back, and then it's more rockety hover boots, and then there's more stuff about I've always liked dogs, and then there's more stuff of Eddie Redmayne doing this with this peculiar voice. And you just go, okay, it's completely all over the place, and I'm not
Even kidding.
No, I'm not. I'm not going to say it's good, but I would be lying if I said I didn't enjoy it, because I did. I had fun. Some of the fun I think I was having with the film. Some of the fun I wasn't sure whether I was having at the film. But
You can't have fun at.
no, with like laughing with and laughing at,
yeah.
And then it didn't matter because every 5 minutes, entire planets went to war with each other, and huge big starfighters shot great big plasma things through time tunnels, and I saw it in IMAX anyway. So it went in one ear, out the other, having done a certain amount of damage on the way, and it is utterly preposterous and ridiculous and frankly stupid, but it wasn't boring.